everyone, this is Stephanie and I am going to be doing an update video on how I'm going to be counting my fats using the Weight Watchers Smart Points program moving forward for the next 6 weeks or so. So let me just start by saying that I have been a member of Weight Watchers off and on for about 10 years. So I have done multiple programs and I have had to switch from one program to their new program 3 times already. And then when I came in, they were doing Points Plus. That was new to me as well. So 4 times I've had to change and adjust. And I will say that every time that they have made a change, I am like applauding, like stand up, round of applause for Weight Watchers. This was great. And it's usually a change that I was kind of feeling like, oh, I wish that this was a little bit different about the program, and then they change it and it's even better. And so I love that Weight Watchers continues to try to make their program the best program for all people, no matter what your dietary concerns are. I personally feel like their program is the best for like the masses, and it is a lifestyle change, and the support that I get there is something that I can't get anywhere else. And so I am going to be a member of Weight Watchers for the rest of my life. I have started and stopped, and I'm not going to do that anymore. And anyway, I just wanted to start with that I have done lots of programs over the years, and my very favorite was Points Plus until Smart Points. With Points Plus and the way that I eat, it was very easy for me to start my day with the amount of fat that I felt like I needed in order to feel energized and to keep me full for the stretch that I don't eat foods that will affect my blood sugar. So let me try to give you a little mini explanation about why I eat the way that I do and how I eat. But I will just say I am not an expert in this field of nutritional science, and so I highly recommend that if you are interested in exploring this way of eating for yourself, that you read the book called The Bulletproof Diet by Dave Asprey. He also has a blog where you can download basically his program for free. He has podcasts, he has a YouTube channel. There is so much information out there that is free, and it changed my life. It changed everything for me, and I'm so grateful that I found his book. And so I'll just say, if you want the meat and potatoes of eating this way, then I recommend his book. And I have read all of the other books out there that promote cutting out wheat, so Grain Brain, the Wheat Belly book. I mean, I've read those as well, and Dave Asprey's book is my favorite. If you're just looking for one book to kind of focus in on, that's the book. So anyway, I just wanted to start with that, and I've listened to it 4 times, and every time I listen to it, I still learn something new. So back in October, I changed the way that I eat from just eating everything and all things under the sun in moderation to cutting out wheat and going high fat, low carb. And it's been about 90 days, and I am down from the day that I started eating that way till now, I'm down like 15 pounds, which is amazing, because I was losing like 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0, you know, just like little tiny amounts when I would lose at Weight Watchers. And it was okay, because I was used to not being able to lose weight before, and then I made those changes, and all of a sudden I was losing like a pound, 1.5, 1.8, sometimes 2 pounds, 0.8 pounds. I mean, they were like big losses for me and my body. And so instantly I was motivated by the weight loss, but more importantly, I was motivated by how I felt. When I made the switch to eating high fat, low carb, moderate protein, no wheat, no gluten, and for the most part avoiding gluten-free packaged foods as well, for the most part. So that was back in October, and I was doing Points Plus, and so I was able to get like the perfect amount of fats for me to feel amazing. I felt like I woke up out of this fog, I had all this energy, and that was after a couple weeks of eating that way. it was so noticeable that I was mostly motivated by how good I felt. Now, when they switched to Smart Points, I panicked because all of the fats that I was eating went way up in points. So it was really hard for me to figure out how am I going to get all my fats and still eat, because if I eat 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, it went from 6 points to 14 points for that coconut oil. Well, I only have 32 points, so now I have like 15 points, 16 points left. How am I going to spread that out? You know, my 14 points is only 240 calories, and I can live on 240 calories. But anyway, so you can kind of see there was a lot of mental struggle. But I thought, I'm going to try the program. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to adjust. And it's been trial and error, trial and error, trial and success, success, more trial, more. I mean, you get the idea for the last 6 weeks. And I finally figured out pretty much how to make it work. And I was eating a half a tablespoon of coconut oil and half a tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of whipping cream, and then sometimes some flaxseed. Still eating my full fat dairy, but it went from eating 1 cup to 1/3 of a cup. Still eating my grass-fed beef, going from 5 ounces to 3 ounces. So I mean, I was trying, I was cutting back. And then my treats, I mean, those just like, I couldn't even work those into my program. Basically, when I was eating treats, is because I was totally cheating. Just flat out, that's how it was for a while there. So I gave it a go, and then I finally figured out how to make it work, but I never really got back to that like feeling amazing part because I wasn't eating as much fat as I was before. So what I'm going to try now is to really go back to trying to get my 2 tablespoons of fat first thing in the morning. I want 25 grams of fat in my body first thing, and I want it from a coconut oil or a medium chain triglyceride oil like an MCT oil. And I just found some avocado oil. Hallelujah, I have been looking high and low for that. I got some avocado oil in the bulk section at Winco. If you have a Winco, it is about $6 for a pound, which is 16 fluid ounces. So I'm super excited about that. And then some grass-fed butter, some whipping cream, like organic cream. And I just want fat first thing in the morning. The reason why is because I have been doing something called intermittent fasting since I started doing the Bulletproof diet. So I finish my last meal, usually the last time that I eat is between 6 and 8 o'clock at night, and then I go until about 12 or 1 in the afternoon without eating. So I try to get about a 15-hour stretch of where I'm not eating any food. But of course you wake up and you're hungry and you need energy. So the reason that I do the Bulletproof coffee first thing is because I want to feed my brain, and your brain runs off of fat. And so by kind of hacking and tricking my body and not having anything raise my blood sugar, which will tell my body to use that as the energy source, say no, we're going to use fat. And so I want like a big old chunk of fat first thing in the morning. I want 25 grams. That's what feels great to me. And the kind of fats that I'm eating are almost instantly metabolized by the liver and made available for my brain to function on. And so you kind of trick yourself because you feel awake, you feel alert, you feel energized, but you're doing this long fast, which helps kind of recalibrate your hunger and your fullness hormones, and it also helps resensitize your body to insulin. So for somebody like me who is trying to avoid diabetes because I'm at a high risk for developing diabetes, this is perfect. It's like I'm kind of resetting everything so that when I do eat carbohydrates, I'm not as insulin resistant. So that's the why. But like I said, if you want the whole picture, you got to read the book because I'm not really that smart, okay? That's just how it is. So counting the fats for me, the way that Weight Watchers has numbered them has been really hard. So what it came down to for me is, okay, I tried it. I finally found a way to make it work. I wasn't getting quite enough fats, but I could deal with it, and I was still losing weight. I wasn't feeling as amazing. I started to nap again. I started to feel tired. It was hard for me to get up early in the morning, and then I had more cravings because I was hungry. But you know, I made it work. So if I decide that I go back to counting my fats, I'll make it work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count all of the fats that I eat as 4 smart points. So Weight Watchers counts avocado oil, olive oil, vegetable oil. Those are all 4 smart points per tablespoon. I'm going to start counting coconut oil, grass-fed butter, MCT oil, because I kind of alternate them, and I'm going to be switching it up. Coconut oil, avocado oil, butter, no butter. I'm going to be just experimenting for the next little while, and I'm going to count them all as 4 smart points per tablespoon. So I'm not going to have one oil be 7 points and one oil be 4 points. Sure, I have an itch. The reason why is that my blood sugar is not affected whatsoever by the kind of fat that I eat, and I am not trying to avoid saturated fat. And I know that Weight Watchers is hoping to make saturated fats like less appealing to people so that they eat less of them. But I am not trying to avoid saturated fat. I want them, so I want the saturated fat just as much as I want the unsaturated fat. Crisco is 4 points in Weight Watchers world, and coconut oil is 7 points in Weight Watchers world, but I'm just going to make them all the same because I don't want Crisco. I want the coconut oil. I want the fat. I want it to be metabolized, you know, so that my body can use it as an energy source. And so that's what I'm going to do, so that I can have more fat and not keep playing this mental game of me going way over my points just so I can have my fats, because then I started to kind of feel like a failure, and I just needed to try. So that's kind of the why that I eat high fat. That's why I'm going to change the smart points. You know, if it was something like a carbohydrate, I'll try to give like a brief explanation as to why something like carbs, I wouldn't even touch those, because your body is going to metabolize carbs and have an insulin response to the carbs totally based on whatever that carb is. So your body will metabolize bananas in its own way. It will metabolize bananas different than oranges, different than grapes, different than berries, different than everything. And you know, they used to use the glycemic index, but that's actually outdated, and you can go and talk to a nutritionist about that who's up on their stuff, and they will tell you that, because I have talked about this with the nutritionist. So this is coming not only from a nutritionist, but you can read it pretty much anywhere online. They have actually been talking about this in the news, that the glycemic index used to measure basically how much that food would spike your blood sugar. It would give it, you know, the glycemic index number. And so it would say, well, you know, this food is really high in the glycemic index, so it's going to raise your blood sugar high, so you should avoid that. And you should eat these foods like berries, which are low in the glycemic index, because it will have a lower blood sugar response, which is important when you're trying to lose weight. So where I was going with this is, now they know that your body, and based on the bacteria in your gut, based on your chemical makeup, your genetics, I mean, all sorts of factors, your body will metabolize food based on your body and based on the food that you're eating. So something like carbohydrates, I'm not going to mess with that. I mean, whatever Weight Watchers says, this is a carb, you know, then I'm just going to trust it. And I know that my body metabolizes grains different than it metabolizes fruit. And so, you know, I wouldn't ever go in and just re-point something myself like that, because there's a variable that's changing what's happening in the chemistry of your blood sugar. And with protein, I don't feel a difference based on the protein that I eat. I can't tell the difference between chicken, pork, fish, beef. Like, I can't tell how my body's metabolizing that. I really can't. So I'm not getting super crazy about that. Carbs, yes, I can tell when I eat corn versus rice. My body does a lot better when I eat rice, and I avoid corn. I've learned that. I've learned that through trial and error. I've learned that I can handle apples and berries and still be fine. Fruits that are higher in sugar, I notice that I get a little bit more of that high and that crash. And so I just choose to avoid those. I also have my fruit later in the afternoon. Why? Because I don't want to eat anything that will affect my blood sugar until I have gone without food for about 15 hours. That's why I eat the fat first thing in the morning, and then I get to lunch, and then I'll have my substantial lunch, usually an animal protein or a big salad, more fat, and then my snack is also high in fat. It's the full fat yogurt, it's a peanut butter. That if I have a snack, I don't have a snack every day, but if I have a snack, that's what I always eat for my snack. And then dinner, it's either salad, protein. So I will say, just in case you have questions, well, what about eggs? Well, what about yogurt? What about, those types of food? When it's a food that has more a combination of nutrients, then I want to save that for later, because I don't want my blood sugar to be affected by what I'm eating. So, for example, dairy. Let's talk about dairy. Dairy is a fat. Well, it has fat, and it has protein, and it has carbohydrates. What you may not know is that in the world of diabetics and the world of diabetes, they tell you to count your milk as a carbohydrate. It's not considered a protein. Yes, dairy products have protein, and depending on if you choose fat-free or full fat, it may or may not have fat. But either way, it has sugar and it has protein. So it will always have sugar and it will always have protein. Lactose is a form of sugar, a naturally occurring sugar. So I've got my protein and my lactose to consider, which is why I don't eat those first thing in the morning. Why? Because I don't want anything that will affect my blood sugar. The lactose in my yogurt, if I have milk, cottage cheese, anything like that, it's going to change my blood sugar. Yes, the fat content and the protein content will kind of mute that and buffer that a little bit, but I don't want to have any of that until later in the day, later in the afternoon. So first thing in the morning, I'm going foods that are pure fat. I don't want to have, something, maybe a little bit of, I've tried having some protein, like maybe an egg or maybe some pure protein powder, but I don't really notice that it adds any benefit, so I'd rather just have that protein later. So, your body has to break protein down. It's not going to cause your blood sugar to spike like, if you eat just like a piece of white bread, but it still has to be broken down, and it can still raise your blood sugar in that breaking down process. So, I'm not eating a lot of protein. In the morning, I wait until the afternoon, and that's why I don't want anything that will affect my blood sugar. But then, when I'm eating certain foods that have a combination of fat and protein, it's not like I'm avoiding those foods because they have protein and I'm not eating high protein. I'm just talking like sources of animal protein, a pure protein. I'm only having one serving of that. And then I will have some foods that are a combination of fat, protein, carbohydrate. And I time those for a particular time of the day for a particular reason. And then as I get towards the evening, it's kind of like anything goes for me, really. I'm not really trying to avoid anything. It's all kind of that morning time, and that's when I want to have that stretch until the afternoon of where I'm super particular about what I eat and why I eat it. So that is the very long answer of why I'm eating this way. If you have questions, feel free to leave them below. Go check out that book. Get it on, my library had it available for audiobook, Kindle, library. I'm going to buy it because I've listened to it 4 times, but I've checked it out from the library and I have listened to it 4 times. So if you're curious, I really recommend going to that book. You can ask me questions. I may or may not have a very helpful answer, but I will try my best. And good luck with whatever program you're doing. And if you want to try counting, your fats this particular way, I would just advise you to just be very mindful about why you're choosing to count them differently. What is your goal for eating full fat? What other foods are you eating in combination with the full fat? Where are you trying to get your main source of energy? If you're not sure, it may not be the best idea to just willy-nilly change your fats because, I don't know, you want more fat. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, if you do decide to do this, you know, just make sure that it's something that you kind of understand the why. I know that if I eat Crisco or olive oil or MCT oil or coconut oil, that's all pure fat. My blood sugar won't be affected. It's all the same calories. It's all 120 calories and 14 grams of fat. It's not like I'm getting more calories by eating coconut oil. It's 7 points, but nothing is different except the saturated fat. And so I'm not trying to avoid that. So I'm going to count it as 4 smart points. The end. I'm going to stop talking now. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.